Here we go. The second and final semifinal at the opening. It's football heaven. This is the Star in Frisco, Texas. It doesn't get much bigger than this in all of high school football. Cannot wait to watch this matchup. I'm Yogi Roth, joined by Trent Dilfer, head coach of the Elite 11. We've seen players from all across the country, the top 100.
The best of the best, baby.
The best of the best, including you, as the head coach of the Elite 11. And we also find the best of the best, guys like Brian Maurer. So here we are, second semifinal, Overdrive versus Hype. Loser goes home, winner, come on back for the ship. When you look at Brian Maurer, an unknown name in most quarterback circles around the country up until about a month ago, his recruiting skyrocketed, all of a sudden become a pseudo-household name at the quarterback's face. His story, though, is really a redemption story when you look at him. What lights you up about this young man?
Well, I just got chills thinking about his story. Under-recruited guy, our great scouts, Joey Roberts, Matt James, Brian Stump, find him at a regional camp. We get him to the Elite 11 finals, kind of an underdog in that situation, fights his way through, gets an invite to the opening here, has a brutal first couple of days. I think that the bigness might have got to him, maybe didn't handle success as well as he handled adversity, and then really has dug deep inside of him. Head coach Rod Johnson gave him the opportunity to play this morning. He's the hot hand, bounced back from a terrible day yesterday, has led his team to 2 straight wins. I think Brian Maurer, through this short journey of his, has really learned how to not only deal with adversity and fighting hard and climbing that hill, but now he's learned how to conquer the hardest thing, which is dealing with some success at a young age.
It's such a great point. You played the quarterback position. You weren't a huge recruit, but then in your career, all of a sudden, you became a top 10 draft pick. Paint a picture for high school, because high school football is kind of like what it was like for the NFL for you back in the day with all the attention. Nobody knew about him. He's going to Central Florida most likely, and all of a sudden, Urban Meyer is calling.
Everybody wants
Tennessee recently committed there. That is hard to just manage yourself when the world's telling you how great you are.
You got it. I mean, when you're an underdog and you're under-recruited, you know how to fight. You know the adversity part, right? And there's all kinds of books out there and advice on how to deal with that. There's not a whole lot of information how to deal with success. And all of a sudden, you get your first taste of success. For me, it was in the National Football League. For Brian Maurer, because of the attention given to these kids, it's at this level. And it can shell shock you. Sometimes you can become complacent. You might get a little cocky, a little arrogant. You might let the little things start slipping. And you have to learn that when you have success, you actually have to work harder than when you have adversity. It's harder to stay on top than to get up top. So I think Brian Maurer's learned that on this short journey, and it's so cool to see him thriving today and carrying his team here to the semis.
I love it. And on the other side, Leah Tagovailoa, they just lost, and they got whooped against Jordan Palmer's team. Well, you call it PACE. It's one of my favorite acronyms. Plays after critical errors. That team, that whole game was a critical error, including a pick 6. What do you look for in terms of bounce-back quality? We know he has it, or at least we think he has it. What do you want to see in the first drive when he gets the rock?
Well, he's already proven through this process, because he had some adversity early in this tournament also, and bounced back and played really well. To me, every quarterback out there, you're going to have some really rough times. So it's how you respond to those rough times. And your team is looking at you. You just took it on the chin against Jordan Palmer's team booming, and now you got to bounce right back. And that energy you can bring as a quarterback, that confidence to the rest of your teammates, can really make the difference, and that's what you're looking for in a situation like this. And that's what I don't like. You know, he's got an open receiver underneath to continue to move the chains. Instead, he takes the big shot into double coverage, and now that's an energy drainer. Now he's got the opportunity to go to the sideline, gather himself, and come back. Hopefully his defense gets a stop here, and he gets to go back and start over, but that's a tough start for Leah.
And we call it
defensive back right there, guys. Quentin Johnson, who had the interception, who's going to be committing later on today on our air.
Looking forward to that. Has a chance to go anywhere he wants. A chance to talk to him in pregame, a special kid. But, Trent, we call it CBL, right? Championship body language. Our eyes right now will be on Leah on the sideline and how he operates, how he bounces back, what his mindset's like. We talked to the quarterbacks a lot of, can you reset, clear the mechanism, and get back to the next snap? Brian Maurer had to do it from yesterday to today. Took 10 sacks yesterday in the Jamboree. And we'll see him on his first drive, first throw.
Really nice throw, drop ball, but we have a flag in the secondary. Looks like defensive holding.
You know what Brian Maurer has, too? He's got juice.
He definitely has juice. Highly competitive kid, learning how to harness that competitiveness. Sometimes his highs are too high, his lows are too low. But again, I think this journey has been as important for him as any quarterback we've ever coached. And he's soaked a lot in a short amount of time, and you're seeing the fruit of that labor in his performance. And that's something you didn't see yesterday, was that decisiveness on the short stuff in the middle of the field. And I get it, it looks boring. But I think if there's a message for young quarterbacks out there, bore them to death, and you have a chance to play on Sundays. Bore them to death. The game has become 10 yards and less. It's become about processing and precision, quick processing, quick decisions, precise throws underneath. I always tell this to make it resonate to a quarterback. I don't care how good of an athlete you are as a quarterback, the guy you're throwing to is better than you. So get him the ball as fast as you possibly can. Let them be the stars, and by default, you'll become a star.
Couldn't agree more. That third voice you heard was Brian Stump, the president of the Elite 11 and the opening, one of the visionaries, along with Matt James and Andy Bark, of this event 8 years ago, and of course to bring it here to Frisco, Texas. Brian, that's Kenny McIntosh out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You look at the skill position players for Overdrive. Who's lit you up throughout the process of when they got here, the stage wasn't too big for them?
I think the balance of their offense is what's the most impressive thing about this squad. There's not one guy you can try to roll to and take them out of their game like some of the other teams we saw. They can go for across with weapons, including the tight end Austin Stogner, who's probably the most consistent route runner of the tight end group here.
Yeah, B, I love Austin Stogner. He has been, since day one when we got on this campus, he's shown great coachability, great effort, energy. He's got some dog to him. He loves to compete. He will not back down to anybody. And like you said, the consistency in every big moment for Overdrive, short yardage, tight red zone, critical down. Each quarterback for Overdrive is looking for Austin. This kid's a big-time player.
I mean, you think of the Big 12. He's going to Oklahoma. We don't think tight ends a lot. Remember Jermaine Grisham?
Yeah.
Right, out of Oklahoma. I mean, different type of athlete, but he's got the same impact, and that's your progression-based read. Yep. That's great. Great eye discipline. You talk about it all the time, tying your feet to your eyes. So those at home, imagine.
See his eyes high to the corner, but he understands corner's not taken. It's going to open up that underneath route on the goal line. I love the location, too. Even though he's wide open, that ball is eye level or below. Front of the end zone throws. Eyes are below. Middle end zone back. 9 to 10 feet high. Learn that lesson. You're not going to turn the ball over in the red zone.
That's why R.J. Henderson, guys, one of the Oklahoma commits, super productive, had well over 100 catches as a sophomore in 2017, putting up huge numbers throughout his high school career.
So, Trent, tying feet to your eyes. Explain that for those watching here on YouTube.
Imagine you have a string that connects your eyelids. You just saw it right there by Brian Maurer. Your eyelids to your shoelaces. Your eyes can't move without your feet moving. Your feet can't move without your eyes moving. Too often it's taught your eyes move, then your feet move. Your feet move, then your eyes move. You're going to be late. You're going to be inconsistent. They have to work together. You have to train it through a progression-based offense. So say you take a 5-step drop or a 3-step drop from the shotgun, because most people are playing in shotgun. When you hit your 3rd step, your first receiver should be open. Your feet and your eyes should be at him. When he's not open, as you move both at the same time, your second receiver should be coming open, so on and so forth. If you just train that's the only thing you train, all of a sudden the pictures you see in live bullet situation are going to be clear. You're going to be more consistent with the football, and ultimately, like I said, you're going to get the ball faster to a faster player than you, therefore creating run after catch opportunities.
It's been really fun here at the opening as the receivers and quarterbacks came in a day prior to the other position players to teach them offense and watch them learn, and how the timing of the quarterback and the route depth of the receiver is all tied together. Sometimes a variety of these skill players are just that much better than everyone, and it's throw the hand up and just let me ride out and throw it up and let me make a play, which is great until you get to college, and want to make sure that the adjustment isn't too hard, because as we know, college coaches aren't going to play you unless they trust you, specifically at those two positions. So Good to see Brian Maurer doing that. And even Leah Tagovailoa comes back. First 2 completions were checkdowns, Trent.
And you got to regain momentum. You put yourself in a manageable third down situation here. In this situation, 10 yards is not that hard to get. But what you can't have is these 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 20s. You can't force the ball in early downs. And again, this is all about they're learning this. They're 17, 18 years old. We expect them to perform and act like 25-year-olds. But it's great to see Leah bounce back, get a couple completions. Now this is a big down for him. That ball that should not be a sack.
3.5 seconds is the clock.
I thought the ball was out of his hand. Unfortunately, we can't tie the replay to the sound.
Yeah, that was close.
That was rough.
But it is the beautiful game of inches.
I love the play. I love that Tua looked off the curl inside to open up that wheel route. Just has to happen a tick, literally a tick quicker, and that's a conversion for Team Hype.
Yep.
Leah.
His offensive coordinator, Alex Brink, record-setting quarterback out of Washington State, and George Whitfield, one of the top quarterback developers in the country, among many on our staff. And, of course, the OC on the field right now with Overdrive. He's familiar with Texas. That's Gerard Johnson, a legend at Texas A&M and College Station.
Both of these coaches have done coaching staffs. Let's not give one guy all the credit, because the defensive coaches, the managers have done incredible jobs with these teams. These teams were down and out. These 2 teams playing the semis right now have had some team dissension. They've had some drama go on. And these coaching staffs have kept these kids together. Really the message of team first, of rally, stay to the program, stick to the process. All the cliches that every football coach says has resonated with these 2 teams, and that's why they're in the semifinal. And a lot of credit goes to these coaching staffs and the kids buying into a message that's hard.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, I'm curious about the coaching staffs and how you figure it out. Well, we know how the quarterbacks coaches get selected, Trent and you guys figuring out, but the defensive side, it's kind of the who's who of defensive football. How does that process work itself out?
Really, that's traditionally the guys that we've worked with throughout on the regional tour. Guys have schedules, obviously, and a lot of these guys, like your Willie McGinnis, have stuff going on all the time, so they can't necessarily make every regional. But this for them is this cures the coaching itch, so to speak, and they might not be able to coach a high school team full time, but they can come out to events like ours and work with the best of the best and really pass on what they've had from their experience on the field, the knowledge they've gained, and all the great coaches they've worked with as players.
Oh no! Chase him down.
Oh, boy.
Guys, that's Christian Williams, an Alabama commit, with the pick 6 for Team Height out of Daphne, Alabama. That's a game-changing play to get them right back in it.
Big-time game-changing play. Lots of lessons to be learned here. Can't be late to the boundary on outcuts if you're a quarterback. Brian Maurer late with the football gives the corner an opportunity to make a play. Next lesson, when you do throw an interception, quarterbacks, which you will, make the tackle. Use your angle. You're the deepest guy back there. Force your angle. Force that player to the sideline. Don't let him cut back on you. It's the difference between 6 points right there.
Nobody knows defense better than our next guest. I don't know how many pick 6s you've had. I know you've made some big plays. I've seen one of them. Cam Smith, 4-year starter at USC, captain of the USC Trojans, has gone through a lot throughout his career. You join us here. You're here at this event, one of the top recruits in the country.
A lot skinnier back then. I remember you
back then. That's right. Cam, what's it like for you to come back to this event as the prolific player that all these kids now, they know who you are. They know your number. They know what you do at USC on the college stage, and now you get to coach up and talk to some of these linebackers.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me up here, guys. I appreciate it. But yeah, it feels awesome to get back here. Always does. New venue, but it's a great experience for everybody. And I was so passionate about it when I was growing up and coming into high school, and I was always watching it on when it was even on YouTube and then on TV for a little bit. So it feels good to come back and support some of these guys that are out here doing the same thing, because we all started at this point, and they're just all going up from here.
And the football's important, and we always say we're never going to compromise football. It's going to be best in class, but you're wearing a hat that kind of speaks to the other elements of this process and the things you at USC and back your time in the opening were exposed to, and now these kids all got exposed to Nego.
Yeah.
Explain that a little bit to us.
I talked to Jordan Palmer a little bit yesterday. I got to meet Super Cade on Sunday. I watched him get to run a 40-yard dash. It's such a cool thing to see a bunch of people, a bunch of guys where this around, and we're all just out here supporting and seeing guys use their platforms and support a greater cause. And like you said, then football is great, but it's people is where we're at right now.
Amen.
College football is so huge right now. Eyes are on you. You are in this. What is some advice about the transition? Because every one of these young men, we just saw pick 6 of the house for linebackers going to Alabama, wants to be the next Cam Smith. How do you advise a young man to make the transition and be able to handle, not just on the field, but all the things that come with being a star in major college football?
Yeah, I think one of the cool things we got to do yesterday was after one of their meetings, we got to all go up as a position group and advise and give some wisdom to some of the guys that are, again, the next in line and next guys to do it. And I think the biggest thing from high school to college is that the easier you figure out how to do things right and do what the coaches are asking you, and even what your tutors and your learning specialists are telling you to do, the quicker you are able to move on and become what you wanted to become and what everyone's dreams are. So I think that was my big point of emphasis is just go there doing the right things, and it's all a humbling process. Some guys are put in the spotlight earlier than others, but it's all, you got to trust the process and just focus on doing things right.
I love it, man. Well, you do things right. We appreciate you taking the time out with us. Can't wait for week 1, get to call that game. And then you'll be back in Texas, in Trent's hometown, against the Longhorns. Wish you...
I'll be at that one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So wish you nothing but the best, man. Thanks for giving back to the game, which is a much greater gift than playing it. You find that out as you get older, man. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Right on, baby.
Fight on, indeed. That's Cam Smith, one of the top linebackers in the country. Been here as a counselor a couple times now, Trent. And he referenced the position groups. And yesterday, every position group, offense, defensive line, skill positions, they went out and had a meeting with all the college counselors. And it's the who's who of college counselors. Can you imagine having that at 17 years old, sitting with, who were the college dudes when you were 17?
I'm going to age myself, so I'm going
to defer that question.
I'm going to punt on that question.
So it might have been Troy Aikman, right? Might have been some Hall of Famers for sure would have been back here. That's what's happening for these young men. I think those tools, they're invaluable. And the thing that I love, I got to sit in on the running back session. Running back at Ohio State, Bryce Love, we had Patrick Larnot earlier. J.K. Dobbins is who I was referring to earlier. We're talking about second in the Heisman, Doak Walker Award winner, just some of the top student athletes. And listening to the gems they gave those kids, my mind was blown away because we did not talk football. It was how you deal with life on campus, off campus, women, classes, all the tools and all the themes that come with being a big-time college football player.
And it's part of the brilliance of this event is that they get great coaching, but at some point the coach's voice grows dull for a high school kid. But one of their heroes, their peer mentors, the guys they're watching on Saturdays do what they're dreaming to do every single night when they go to bed, those guys' words have power and impact on these young men. And we have every year such a fantastic group that comes back that's usually gone through this process as well, and they want to give back to these kids, and they can relate to them in a way that, again, it's more impactful than an old crusty like me. So I think it's one of the brilliant parts of this event and why these kids go home with so many tools in their toolbox to be successful as players and in life.
I'll tell you what, I remember last year at the opening, and every year the legends come back. Last year, Jerry Rice came back. And I was geeked out. I went up to him. I was like, man, I got to talk to you. You were literally the reason I was catching bricks as a child. And that might not even be a true story, but you were the reason. And Nike brings back so many powerful athletes earlier this week. Deshaun Watson was here. The top tight end, Gronk, was here. And so great with the young men. You take a look at, we'll show some of the pictures of some of the top athletes that came by and impacted all the 162 student athletes here at the opening. Just a special event here in Frisco at the Star. There's Gronk and Willie, two of the biggest humans I've ever seen that high school player looks just as big as them.
And that high school player runs 4.48 at 6'6", 242 pounds.
Todd Gurley, running back, and that is a dime for a tug. We're going to go to the booth on that.
It's definitely going to the booth, B.
We'll see the replay. That was Leah Tagovailoa.
Here we go.
Garrett Wilson. Catch. Toe. That's close. If it is close. If it is not definitive.
Do we have an angle from the end zone cam?
The rule up here.
Love to see another angle from the end zone cam.
It's got to be conclusive to overturn. The call on the field, Trent, was incomplete, I believe.
If that's the angle we have, I think we're staying with the incomplete.
I would agree with you, B.
And there it is.
Incomplete.
Sorry to the locals in Austin. Garrett Wilson looking for another big play. And they get another shot here. Leah Tagovailoa, semifinal.
He's sitting on something.
You know what I love, Trent? I want to expand on this. Spread offenses. Majority of quarterbacks do. The first time they call a play or go from under center, usually at our camp, which is amazing to watch, teach, and observe them get it. But when the field gets tighter, saw it with Marcus Mariota in college. We've seen it all throughout college football over the last decade or so. Of course, in high school football, it gets harder. Why?
So I remember doing this study when Marcus was coming out in the draft. The first time I dug really deep into the spread offenses, critical situations, talking, third and short, and then especially tight red. One of the brilliance of the spread offense is the speed, the trickeration, getting teams on their heels, and maximizing the space of the football field. Well, as you get deeper, closer to the end zone, that space goes away. The other thing that goes away is your ability to RPO people is easy. It's a little bit harder to run the quarterback run game. Safeties now can be play run and pass. So some of the brilliance of the spread RPO quarterback run driven game kind of loses its luster. And now you have to force a quarterback to actually play from the pocket, play on time, play traditional offense. Very doable, but it's definitely the transition that has to come when you come from a spread offense into a more traditional offense.
And somebody going to a spread offense is Spencer Rattler. Came out of Los Angeles, highly regarded by our staff. Of course, the country believes he's one of the top quarterbacks. We wouldn't disagree with that. He makes his first appearance in the semifinals here in Frisco, Texas. Spencer Rattler, Trent, got the visor. Everything looks easy. What do you notice about him prior to getting to meet him? What was an expectation you had, and did he meet it or exceed it?
He's exceeded expectations, and I had high ones. His film, the biggest takeaway from his film was he made hard things look easy. He was very precise. He's twitchy. Now, let me go a little deeper there. He does things not just twitchy with his feet, but twitchy with his eyes, twitchy with his arm. When you have that ability, you can just do more as a quarterback. He blew up Redondo. He just dominated Redondo Beach in the Elite 11 finals, came in as our #1 ranked guy. Started this process here at the opening very, very well. Has a lot of juice to him, brings out the best in people. Now he's hit a little bit of a rocky road here in the middle, and this is a great opportunity because he is still in the mix for Elite 11 MVP. At this point, in this opportunity he's getting because the interception thrown by Brian Maurer early, this is a great opportunity for Spencer Rattler to get himself back on top in this Elite 11 MVP race. But look how easy he makes it. The way I try to explain people is look at the back foot and the arm. The guys that are really twitchy, you'll see that arm start to move as the back foot is hitting the ground. Right there, he resets right there. The efficiency in his stroke. He's not a huge guy, but he plays the position big. Spencer Rattler, I mean, Oklahoma's doing it right. If you look at how Lincoln Riley's recruited, you look at the skill position people, the fit of those people, but then the quarterback especially, you can see Spencer Rattler having an incredible career at the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's going to have every opportunity to play early. Completion was to Frank Ladson Jr. on his way to Clemson. I mean, it's kind of the who's who at the wide receiver position for this squad. And here we are to reset a little bit. It's Trent Dilfrey. I'm Yogi Roth. Brian Stumpf down on the field. We are at the Star in Frisco. It's the opening. It's football heaven. Top 162 high school football players in all the land. This is the second semifinal. Loser packs their bags. Winner advances to the championship game. It will be an exciting one indeed. And I think, Trent, it's important to note the coaching staff They choose at the quarterback position who plays. They're not splitting reps evenly after the first day. It's based on performance and coach's decision. Brian Maurer, Spencer Rattler shared snaps throughout this game. 3:30, some change left here in the first half. We got a tight one. First game was Blowout City, as Jordan Palmer and Boomin and Bo Nix found their way to the finals.
Common theme we've seen with these quarterbacks in this format over the years of doing this is the ones that try to put on the Superman jersey and save the day are the ones that get themselves in trouble. The ones that stick to the program, stick to the process, stick to the disciplines of the position, of the playbook, of their coaching points are the ones that thrive. Spencer Rattler had done a great job with that at Redondo Beach for our Elite 11 finals early in this competition. And then I think it was last night outside, tried to put on the Superman cape. And when he did that, got himself in a lot of trouble. Why I say that is because now I'm watching him get another opportunity to play after Brian Maurer's played 2 straight games. And what has he done? He took a shot early, which is a good shot, but now he's been very judicious with the ball. It's underneath, it's precise, it's run after the catch, and now they have an opportunity to go down and score.
So how hard is that? I mean, you've obviously played the position, won a Super Bowl, one of the top players in the history of college football in terms of accuracy and making quality decisions. Of when you're feeling it, you want to sometimes just keep bombing threes like you're Steph Curry, taking shots down the field. How hard is it to train the discipline to feel as good about a check down as you do throwing up to one of the horses on the outside?
I think it's about mentality. You have to have the brass of a burglar, but the discretion of a doctor. And that's a hard combination to have. And the way I try to walk through guys, and when I struggled in my career, it was because I either went to the line of scrimmage saying, oh, I'm only going to be aggressive, or I went to the line of scrimmage saying, oh, be careful. You have to go to the line of scrimmage with that assassin mentality. I'm going here to gash you. We're going to slice and dice. And then right before that ball hits your hands, whether it's out of the shotgun or under center, then it has to become, but I'm going to slice and dice. I'm going to use discernment more than anything else. I'm going to take what you give me. I'm going to force you. I'm going to dictate the terms to you. You're not going to dictate terms to me. And the great ones get that, and they figure that out, and they go up there with this highly aggressive mentality, and then they flip the switch to, yeah, but it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts. It doesn't have to be the machete. It could be the scalpel. And if you look at football the last 20 years, the great ones at every level have used the scalpel more than the machete.
I love that. I love that. Brian, we got some really fun things happening here at the halftime. All these 162 athletes are fulfilling a dream, going to the next level. Bobby Wolf is going to be one of them. Give us a little breakdown prior to his commitment about this young man.
Before Brian does that, look at this. The timing, the twitch again, the location. Back shoulder's where that ball needed to be thrown. The safety's driving to the front arm. That ball's on the back shoulder, protecting the tight end. Austin Stogner and his ability to body up, use that frame to get in the end zone.
I love it. All right, Brian, Bobby Wolf. He's going to make his commitment here at halftime. Tell us a little bit about this young man.
Yeah, Bobby Wolf out of Houston, Texas. A longer corner, real athletic. We saw him at the Houston Regional in pouring rain. He had a great day down there. He's shown on part of Team Boomin', so he's already in the championship game. So they're in there getting fitted for their championship uniforms, but he's going to have time to get up there and join you guys. And I believe he's down to Arkansas, Texas A&M, and ready to make his choice with you guys in a little bit.
I love it. Well, make sure you make the choice to follow the Elite 11, because the whole journey, the Elite 11 docuseries, will be coming on NFL Network channels. We're talking TV, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, all the things that Trent loves following and participating with. But it's going to be great, Trent. I mean, so many deep storylines we're going to dive into as young men continue the journey to follow the game and the craft that they love. And looks as though we are at halftime right now.
I think there's a question on the conversion play. I think there was a defensive penalty, but also maybe a delay of game, so they're replaying the down. And
we had a holding call down here, guys, so that overrules the sack, just as in real football.
Got it. So replay it down.
Love it.
It's an important conversion. There's no field goal, so the Overdrive's already up 7. If they get a 2 here and go up 9, that's a 2-score game for Team Hype to come back from, which we've seen in this format is tough to do.
And you need to decide where you want to put the ball on your two-point conversion to your point.
This looks like a movement play, possibly.
JJ's going to take a timeout. Looks like they were going to go for one, but they didn't get lined up right.
You know, what's great about these coaches, Trent, I mean, they feel as though they're in the CFP right now.
Oh,
I
no
mean,
doubt.
Rod Johnson is dialing it up right now. Brian Thibault, you see him right in front of Brian Stumpf in the green jacket, third member of our booth.
Listen, they don't just show up with a deck of cards. I think
We're
that's
going
the perception.
double left 2, guys, here. Double left 2. Let me see the call.
Oh, we got an insider.
Oh, yeah, we got F option to drive here.
Nice.
Bill Walsh be fired up right now.
Yeah, these guys prep for months on their playbooks. Their installs are immaculate. They give these kids so much information, and they expect them to execute at a high level.
Oh! How about the eye manipulation?
Spencer does all the little things really, really well. He's advanced beyond his years. I think the only lesson he has to learn, which will just come with experience, is that it's not always about the big play. It's, again, I've used this analogy a million times doing TV, but it's death by a thousand inches. It's a worse death for the defense if you pick and pack and miss, make good decisions. The other thing it does is protects your defense. And the higher you go, William McGinnis and DeMarcus Ware talk to these quarterbacks just about being team quarterbacks, protecting them on their side of the ball. If you can work the ball down the field with the controlled passing game, your defense, your pass rushers are getting more rest on the sideline, and they're going to be better when they get back on the football field. 72-68 is not good football. It's just not. And these guys need to learn that.
I couldn't agree more. Really excited about the way this game has shaped out. We got a tight one. Don't want to go anywhere. Excited about these talented players. They're taking their careers to follow the school of their dream. Trent, we get to now get a live commitment. So excited. Come on in. We've got Bobby Wolf. Team booming. He's on his way to the championship, one of the top players in the country. Bobby, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
You're about to make your decision. Prior to looking into that camera and letting the world know where you're going to continue to commit your career to, what went into the decision for you?
I mean, like, my family was a big part, we had to make sure, that's where I was comfortable going, and that's where I could spend the next 4 years at, away from my child, too. So, things like that, the way the people treated me while I was there, on the visits and stuff like that. So, that took a big part of me picking the decision where I'm going.
I love it. All right, we got thousands awaiting your decision. Let us know. The camera is yours, my friend.
I would like to commit to...
Oh, there it is.
Oh, Jimbo Fisher gets another one. Congratulations, man.
Congratulations, bud.
What made you choose this institution with a new head coach? You see that program getting commits all around the country since he's been hired.
I mean, Coach Fisher is an amazing, not even a coach. From me being a great person, I know his personality is beautiful. The entire coaching staff. They make you feel like you at home. And I think that's a big part of recruiting. That's what got me. I'm a ball player, but I'm also a person. I'm a human. So I take stuff like love seriously.
I love that. Well, what's this experience been like for you? Because it's 162 players. Some of you knew each other. Some of you didn't. You fell in love with the craft, with each other, with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Big highlight for you from this week at the opening has been what?
I mean, the big highlight is one-on-ones, Of course, I do my thing. I'm a ball player. But, this is
The one-on-one.
The experience here is something I've never, I couldn't even dream of it, meeting, players that are just as good as me, better than me, it's a learning experience, you also know, you have to keep working. There's always time to get better. And, the bond and friendship I've built with boys from Georgia, I've never met a day in my life. It feel like we best friends, So, that it was great.
Well, that bond is just getting warmed up. Thank you for being a part of the opening. You got to get ready. You're playing in the championship game.
Yeah.
You just made a huge decision on his way to Texas A&M. Bobby Wolf, congratulations. Yeah. Really looking forward to following your career, and thank you for being a part of the process here at the opening.
All right, thank you.
Good job, Bobby.
There it is. Bobby Wolf on his way to Texas
Maggie's
A&M.
getting better.
Aggie's getting better. Aggie's getting rolling. One of the more talented players. Cannot wait to see him in the final. It is on. The fans are excited that he's on. This game is about to get rolling in the second half. Trent, for you, big picture. When you look at the second half of the final semifinal, take your mind inside the players here. What do you hope that you see from these guys in a close matchup, specifically these two quarterbacks?
Poised decision-making at all positions. They're great athletes. They've been coached well. They know their systems. They know their plays. It's going to come down to, as this game is close and it's getting down to the wire and there's so much at stake, do you have that poise to think clearly? Do you have that discipline to do it exactly the way you've been trained to do it? And then can you have that exclamation point mentality, meaning every play is a singular play, and then you put an exclamation point at the end of it and move on to the next one. What happened the play before is not going to affect the play after. For young men, that's a really hard approach to take, but the team that does that the best is the one that's going to get to the finals and face Team Boomin.
This gets exciting.
It does. It's a lot of fun.
We pour in. You don't sleep the whole week. Staff
obviously,
doesn't
look at me.
but this is fun because these young men, like we heard from Cam Smith, guys that grew up watching this, wanted to be here. Patrick Laird wasn't here, wanted to be here. We're getting commitments from young student athletes. It doesn't get much better than this opportunity here with the semis, second half, moments away.
Tremendous experience for them. A lot of learning goes on, but also a lot of celebration for these teams that are having success at the end. And in the second half, this first drive, especially by Overdrive, great opportunity to, again, get to that 2-score spot that we have not seen many teams come back from. Will be interesting if Spencer, again, can maintain the discipline of the position or if he gets outside of his shell and starts trying to be Superman again.
All right, here we go. Second half begins. Spencer Rattler at the quarterback position. Play action pass, first snap. Who's he throw it to? Mr. Consistency, his tight end, Austin Stogner, going to Oklahoma out of Plano, Texas.
So smooth. His ability for a big guy to maintain his speed at the top of the route and glide out of it, and then maintain that big catch radius. A lot of guys, when they come out of those breaks on outcuts, they tend to bend. Their chest gets too close to the ground, which limits their catch radius. He comes out tall, strong, the ability to catch the ball in a lot of different areas, and a very nice throw by Spencer Rattler.
You know, offensive lineman, whoa. Ooh. Got to get tagged.
The run game has been successful for many coaches in this format because the defenses start cheating. They start playing soft. They start dropping into their zones quicker. In man coverage, the free backer who's responsible for the back will go and try to double team somebody else. And the really good coordinators have used the run game to get chunk plays like we just saw right there. Now, there's no blocking in this format, but I didn't see Overdrive blocking anybody. Their bodies were just in the way, and the running back was able to cut off of them.
Inside the 20. They get 4 shots here.
Smart.
So good. I'll tell you what. The athleticism is amazing. The ball security, not so much.
Well said.
Don't necessarily do that, but they'll learn that. You know, usually first fumble in training camp when you get to college or in a game in high school football. And
you're carrying the ball around the class.
That's right. You're like in the program way back in the day. Darnell Jefferson. To age ourselves a little bit like that throwback.
Nice reference right there.
Pretty strong. Here we are, Spencer Rattler in the race
There's
for the
times I felt like we've been doing dodgeball today.
Yeah.
Again, decision making. Bore him to death.
I love it. And I was always trained in the red zone. Touchdown, check down.
Yep. Which is good. You still want to see, again, that assassin mentality. You go to the line of scrimmage saying, okay, where are they weak? Do I have a piercing route in the back of the end zone? Do I have a chance for that? I'm going to set my feet for it. But in the back of your mind, it's like, it's okay if I don't throw it, because there's going to be something better that can get me a profit on this down. And the more profits you take, if you're a completion junkie, then you can have a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers type career, not a Trent Dilfer career. You don't want that. You want the other one.
Here we go, inside the 5. Sprint out. We've seen this before.
Ooh, great little route.
Nice play. Gerard Johnson, Brian Thiebaugh. Little whip route on the inside.
Off the sprint out, too. That was a fantastic concept. And, again, great route running by the receiver and good location. It's tight coverage. It's a small area that ball needs to be. Again, I've said this a million times already. Eyeballs are below in the front part of the end zone. Spencer Rattler locates the ball there. And now they go up 2 scores, which that was a huge opening drive for Spencer Rattler and Overdrive. And Spencer Rattler getting his name back in the conversation for the MVP, Elite 11 MVP.
Oh, there it is. Well, he went to Theo Weiss Jr., an Oklahoma commit, for the tug, and then Austin Stogner, an Oklahoma commit, for the 2-point play. I think there is a theme. Or excuse me, the 1-point play. There is a theme with Spencer Rattler. He is throwing 2 guys for probably the next 5 years. Yeah.
I think you can everybody should record this broadcast right now. About 3 years, marry it to what they're going to be doing in real pads in Norman, Oklahoma. The future is very bright there. Again, Lincoln Riley is doing as well as anybody in college football right now.
I love it. And these players, they're coming from all over the land to get here to football heaven. Let's take a look at how they get here, Trent.
Morris pass complete.
Oh, this is fantastic. All over the country, they come in. Nike swags them out. Man, if I got gear like this in high school, it's all I would wear.
I love that. That's my favorite piece of equipment because it showed the journey of this staff. You may have only gone to one regional, but this staff has canvassed the entire country along with Nike for the opening regionals to bring it here, football heaven. And there they are, checking the ticket from LAX. We've got players from all over, from Tennessee. Just the quarterbacks, there's 12 of them. They represent 10 different states. First time we ever had 2 quarterbacks in the state of Alabama. A lot of these young men, it's been their first flight they've ever taken, and they drop into this. Talking about dropping.
Garrett.
Dropping a dime piece.
That's Garrett Wilson out of Lake Travis High School, fellas, Ohio State commit.
And Dylan Morris, the quarterback throwing the ball, coming in relief. Dylan has had streaks here in this competition of brilliant football. Offensive coordinator Alex Spring bringing Dylan in to make the big play to Garrett. And Garrett's just dominated this competition.
He's so big time. He's so big time. And I think even when you talk Dylan Morris, I think it's easy when a quarterback commits to Chris Peterson to compare someone to Kellen Moore, but I think it's legit. You know, when you look at the toughness, the competitive grit that number 15 has, wouldn't be shocked if he's a coach someday. I mean, he learns from his family, great work ethic.
Threw him open in the back of the end zone, too. I think this is going to stay. Yep.
Touchdown,
Love it. Some of the funnest parts, Trent, I think we'd agree, is getting to know these young men. Dylan Morris, dad, his brother, work on a tugboat. Yeah. You know, he sees the work ethic, what it takes. You know, he talked about it with Joey Roberts in the first broadcast. You can go check that one out on NFL's YouTube page. Talked about having to teach himself how to walk again. Through a brutal injury over a year ago. And look at him now playing with the nation's elite. Throwback.
And again, Dylan's another one of these players we talked about with Leah that it's been an up and down competition. But again, through that has had no flinch to him, has not lost his cool, has maintained his poise, his composure, his leadership. They go down 2 scores, he gets thrown in the game, and boom, jumps in, leads him to a scoring drive. I mean, that is that competitive temperament that we value at Elite 11, but we value it because it's what we see succeed at the next level. If your highs are too highs, your lows are too lows, then that's how your game's going to be. If you're willing to buy into that no flinch, calm, poised, mature attitude at this position, you're going to be a more consistent player, and we're seeing that with Dylan.
Spencer Rattler back at quarterback, and once again, he finds Austin Stogner. Austin Stogner quietly putting up crazy numbers.
He's scary good. That route right there, if we had a replay of this route, we're going to see Spencer, his eyes, great foundation to his base, beautiful throw, but Austin at the top of that route, that was an NFL-type outcut right there.
No offensive line, you always hear knee bender, versus waist bender. I mean, if you can only bend at your waist, you might not be that athletic. Tight end too. You know, I mean, this guy can move.
Balance, body control. Quickness is not as important as transitional speed. Being able to big stride into big bodies and get out of it. Your ability to separate, because you're going to have a lot of contact at that position. Teams, good defense are going to try to reroute you, get their hands on your ability to use your hands to get started. All those are traits when you're looking for a big body tight end. They're going to translate to the ability to dominate college football and possibly play in the National Football League.
Brian, when you look at the linebacking core here for Team Hype, what stands out for you? We'll get Brian back online here in a minute. But Brian, when you look at these linebackers, they can move, they can run. We're talking Shane Lee. I mean, it looks like an NFL
linebacker
player.
core. I mean, they're playing nickel now. They're the one team that I've seen play base probably over 50% of their snaps, just because they have such great linebackers. DeJuan Black is a guy that really stands out, number 6. Mississippi kid, committed to Ole Miss. Tremendous frame. We talked about multi-positional guys. He plays wide receiver and safety for his high school team. But again, he's 6'4", over 210 pounds already. He's going to be a beast, and he's going to be an SEC linebacker that's going to be real good at the next level. And then Shane Lee, if you can get the camera on that dude, there's probably not a better looking prospect physically, number 30 in the middle. That's a grown man right there.
I agree. I mean, you walk up to some of these guys, and they're scary, whether it's Shane Lee, number 30, or DeJuan Black, number 6. I mean, they're freak. DeJuan Black, they did a drill. It's basically kind of like a cat and mouse type of drill where they call it make and miss. Running back goes against linebacker in a tight space. And I swear when he was running, his arms were touching the ground. I mean, this guy is going to be a freak. Remember that name over the next few years.
Another great decision by Spencer Rattler. It looked as if he had a chance to throw the ball in the back part of the end zone on the corner route. Defender at the very last second starts to sink. Great decision to throw underneath them. And they get very close to scoring there.
Chase McClellan, Trent, I'll give you one guess where he's committed.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, and he's a 2020 recruit, an underclassman here at the Open. You got to be that elite to get invited as an underclassman. He is just that. Brian, take us through the underclassman process of why some special players aren't going into their senior year get invited here.
Yeah, it's something we look at every year. There's always a lot of good 2020 players that'll be top players in the class and have a really, really good chance to make it as seniors. But when we see guys that put forth just special performances on film, special performances then at the regional camp as well, which is what Jace McClellan did when we saw him at the Dallas Regional. He's a local prospect here out of Alito High School. Productive, all-state type of player ever since his freshman year. So that's really the guy. We want to have a guy that's a top 1 or 2 player in their class at their position, a transformative player when he goes to college. So we usually end up between 5 and 8 underclassmen at the finals events.
Oh. Trent, how about that? You got to roll to your left.
Throw it back inside.
Throw it back inside. He reminds me, I mean, this is going to be a dramatic comparison, but he's kind of like football's version of Steph Curry. I think the swag that he kind of plays with, how he bounces, how he moves, he plays really free. You talked about some adversity he dealt with yesterday coming into today, didn't start this semifinal game, has come in and clearly has rallied his team. I think he just kind of jumps off the screen.
I agree. Again, for me, and Steph does this as well, they make very difficult things look easy. I think that's one of the definitions of greatness, right? You make hard things that most people can't do, you make them look pretty easy. From a quarterback context, he does a lot of very difficult things very easily, and that's why I think his ceiling is so high. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger when he gets to Norman and gets in a training table and a weight room in that environment. And then, with a little bit of extra strength, a little more stature, you're looking at a kid that's has a chance to be a dominant college football player.
And a lot of debate going on that last play. Was he touched, Trent? Right here at the 1. Official says he was.
I thought he reached the ball out before he got touched.
Can we run that back?
Stopping by number 1, BC.
Oh, looks like they're going to get to the line of scrimmage, run the play. The old pick play.
Ooh. That's a big stop. Maybe a mistake by Coach Draw Johnson not to take a timeout there. Let it be reviewed before they run that play.
We do roll with the old college football rules. Every play is reviewed, of course, by us up here in the booth. Kind of the fun part throughout this broadcast, to be the host, color commentator down on the sideline. We also get to be the official rules. Brent Dill for Yogi Roth here at the Star in Frisco. Second semifinal match. Winner advances, loser goes home. We got Hype versus Overdrive. Big possession here for Hype. About 11 minutes left in this ball game. They roll Dylan Morris, committed to the University of Washington. Made some big plays throughout the afternoon.
Maybe the best throw in the history of the opening last night in the first round of tournament play. We saw him rope a ball on a high angle corner versus tight man coverage, off play action fake, turn his back to the line of scrimmage, and rip fire about 45 yards into a window about the size of a coffee cup. It was ridiculous. It made jaws drop, and we talked about it all night long in our meetings.
Yeah, he's a dynamic player. I think he's that guy where you meet him coming off the bus. Yeah, not really sure what you're going to get. You look him in the eye, you read his essay. We have every quarterback at the Elite 11 write an essay about what football means to them as we continue to dive into who they are, what they're about. Trent, you always talk about tapping into their soul and it being that type of position. And when you get the game taken away from you, whether due to injury or any other circumstance, you come back with a different focus.
There we go.
There's
late
a late
flag. Coach Whitfield been working the refs since this morning. I think that work paid off. Got the late call. See George over there talking to him on the sideline in between games. He's talking to him in game. Ask them about their families.
Totally. You know how you work it.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Old NFL film
And right
style.
there, in a critical down in a tight game, the work paying off.
I like it. George is always one of those fun guys you want to talk to if you're a ref or if you're anybody. Probably the best storyteller among the staff.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay, here we are. Critical. Under 10 minutes. 21-12. Dylan Morris gets a big penalty.
Oh, big throw. Big time throw.
Morris pass complete to number 8.
He's so on rhythm. Back foot hits the ground. You call it LTA. Load to a rival. Loads that back foot. Boom on the front number. Beautiful catch radius. Big play. Explosive play. And here we go. Inside the 10. A lot of talented players on this staff. Excuse me, a lot of talented players on the field. Brian Stump seeing all the live action down on the field. Brian, what's the speed like for those at home who are watching it from the views that we see on the screen here?
I think the play of speed is indicative by the number of pick sixes we're seeing. These defensive backs can fly, and the windows are tight, especially down here in the red zone as we see. Trying to fit that in.
Almost called it. Broken up by Marquise Beeson. He's been making plays all afternoon long, committed to Illinois. We welcome back Joey Roberts, Director of Scouting, to the booth. Trent makes his way down to the field. I'm Yogi Roth. Here we are in the second of two semifinals. Overdrive 21, Hype 12. We're under 8 minutes. A critical play, critical drive. Alex Brink, the offensive coordinator, showing the play. His quarterback, Dylan Morris. Joey, you have so many sidebar conversations with these quarterbacks. What is Dylan Morris, when he's talked about his skill position players, what has he talked about around the weapons that he has?
Dylan's very articulate. He really dives into more than just big, fast, strong, physical. I mean, you can see why University of Washington likes this kid because he looks for his kind of guy.
Yeah.
Looks for the high character, high grit. And he was just raving about his skill guys, that they do exactly what they're told. They get to the depth of route they're told. They sacrifice, and then ultimately they're able to execute. So when they're down and out, which they were in the Jamboree, I mean, they were the 6th seed coming in the tournament, it makes sense that this team is in the semifinals, almost on the verge of going to the finals.
So here we are inside the red zone. I'd keep an eye on number 18, Grayson Boomer. Well, what's great about the opening is there's the injuries happen. We'll get late ads. That's what he is. He's an Oklahoma State commit, big tight end in the slot, bottom of your screen. You put it up to him. And I think there was a sack prior to that. Fourth and goal. Brian, you've been down there in the huddle. What's the presence been like for Dylan Morris as you've watched him insert himself back in as he and Lia Tagovailoa have swapped every other possession?
I think he's a cool, confident kind of guy. Nothing's going to faze him. We saw him yesterday with some of the top DBs in the country, most notably Chris Steele out of St. John Bosco in California, who was right up in his face right from the jump of that game. And there was no back down in Dylan Morris. And actually, he went down and found Chris Steele to give it a little back to him when they threw a touchdown pass over the top of their defense.
Takes a shot. Out of the end zone. Joey, pretty critical stand there by the defense of Overdrive.
No, huge stand by Overdrive, and then that puts the ball back into Spencer Rattler's hands. We have about 5 minutes left, and if you look at this big picture with the Elite 11 and kind of what's at stake with the MVP, it's kind of mapping out to a heavyweight championship battle with Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. Both came in 1-2 coming into this deal. Both had excellent finals. Both have had interesting pass. Bo's over 100 attempts and 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Spencer got benched a little bit, came back. He's dealt with adversity, and he's come out on the other end. So not only for the opening, but also the Elite 11, you're looking at a heavyweight fight coming together.
We've had great moments throughout the Elite 11's 20-year illustrious history. We've had 1 and 2 battle before. Tua Tagovailoa, Davis Mills. We've seen it happen, I believe, with Shea Patterson.
Shea Patterson, Justin Fields, Justin Rogers. The list goes on and on.
As you've seen these quarterbacks, because again, we've gotten to know them over the course of the last 8 months, and we got a late flag. Might get an unsportsmanlike conduct, late hit type of play. Clearly the referees have all over it. Brian, what's keep us posted on what the penalty is down there on the field.
That's going to be some late action from the Hype defense. A little second shove after he was out of bounds. No big deal. A little frustration comes in.
And that's fair. They know what's at stake. The excitement. Big plays. They know they need to get the ball back. You can imagine defensive coordinator Keith Bullock talking to his defense. We've got to make a stop. We've got to get the ball back for our offense. Clock. It's a running clock here. We're under 4 minutes. And you better believe, Joey, that the offense of Overdrive and offensive coordinator Gerard Johnson and even defensive coordinator Ryan Clark, they're making sure they are milking the clock in this scenario.
As Boomer says, tick, 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 tick.
Well, we'll see the decision making here. They decide to run the ball, keep it on the ground. Remember, there is no blocking. We said that earlier, but you can run your routes. And now defensive coordinators, if you want to play man coverage, not necessarily the best choice because your wideouts can just run the secondary off and chunk yardage. The clock, as you referenced, tick, 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 tick. And here we go. 3:20. Now, the officials are all over this. Remember, each team does get 1 timeout. A delay of game penalty can occur. So you do have to get your team moving, get back up to the line of scrimmage and call play. Looks like there's some discussion with the officials down here. We'll get some clarity from Brian Stumpf. We're going to add some time to the clock. Brian, clear up what's going on down in the field for us, if you would.
I think the officials had to defuse the situation. They had an offsetting sit out of the game a little bit for the running back, and they kept him in the game and gave him the ball. So they're going to go back and replay the down, I believe.
Okay. Offsetting personal fouls. We got some discussion going on down in the field. Ryan Clark, defensive coordinator, former LSU star. Gifted player in the National Football League, Redskins, Steelers. Son, I believe, is a defensive back. Jordan Clark out of Baton Rouge. And it's fun to watch all the coaches get excited, get competitive, the student athletes. A lot at stake, 3:23 left. I think they might add a little time to the clock. We'll get the official word from Brian down on the field. You see the coaches talking with the officials in the middle there.
Yogs, I think the beauty of this whole situation, 3:23 up 9, Spencer has a chance to put team hype away. And when the kids got to hear DeMarcus Ware talk and Willie McGinnis talk, they said the commonality on great quarterbacks is that they do put the defense away. They do close games, that when you're up, you can put them away. And that's one thing that Spencer, when you talked to him, he took to heart, and something that he can apply right now.
So here we go. 3:50 left. Every snap matters. They got to get inside the 20, get an extra set of downs. The play clock is rolling. It is a running clock. So they've got to get the snap off. They can milk the play clock as long as the play clock allows. Under 10 seconds now. Spencer Rattler managing all things at the line of scrimmage. In competition and conversation for the MVP award of the Elite 11. Underneath throw.
Rattler pass complete to number 8, Bridges.
Each team has one timeout. Both of them have burned their timeout, so we are rolling here, Joey. Last 3 minutes of this ball game, and Trent talked a lot about being surgical, going to the line of scrimmage with the attitude, we're going to gash you, but gashing you might mean being born and just checking the ball down. What do you want to see for Spencer Rattler right here? Because he has not been afraid, at least day one, of taking shots throughout this ball game. It seems as though he's become that guy who said, all right, check down, let's take it all day long.
No, and that's a big transition from day one, where it was splash play after splash play, and just speaking of splash plays, he hits that. But it's being a game manager. It's really making the game come to him, allowing his teammates to understand the situation, to put the team away. And like I just said, DeMarcus Ware said the commonality of all quarterbacks is they put the team away, and it looks like he just did.
How about that? We want to talk about back shoulder throws. We've been working that throw at the Elite 11 over the last month. Ball placement, timing, tempo, it's exactly the elements that Spencer Rattler has. You can see him making that play in Norman, Oklahoma for many years to come. Inside the 20, we are at about 2 minutes remaining in this ball game, 21-12. This all but assures a matchup of Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix in the championship for the 7-on-7 and potentially much more. We're talking about the Elite 11 MVP here at the Star in Frisco.
You know, at the opening, you bring out offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, NFL background. So Gerard Johnson, Team Overdrive offensive coordinator, Ryan Clark, Team Overdrive defensive coordinator. Both of them were in the championship last year with Justin Fields having a historical run to the MVP and ultimately the championship. And now it lines up to have Jordan Palmer versus Gerard Johnson in the championship. You can't get anything better.
Bo Nix, give a little preview for those who are just tuning in to YouTube here about his skill set and how he's had to literally guide his team as the sole healthy quarterback throughout the last 48 hours to the championship game.
Keyword being healthy. Bo has put the team on his shoulders. He's made every throw possible in the book. Over 120 attempts so far, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and really in the past 70 to 75 attempts, 20 or 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. So he really has grasped the whole magnitude of the game. Bo, coming from winning a state title his junior year, son of a coach, son of Patrick Nix, former Auburn quarterback. Really, when you talk to the coaches, it goes so much more than his ability to throw the football. It goes so much more in the intangibles, his character's through the roof. And it's something that when you're an Auburn Tiger fan, you know you got a future possible Heisman in the book, possibly a draft pick in the book.
Brian, Overdrive is going to advance to play Bowman. What matchup are you most excited for in the championship game?
I mean, we got to talk about the quarterback matchup, obviously, but these two receiver groups might be the most loaded receiver groups along with the team hype group. So it's going to be whoever steps up and makes plays for their quarterbacks. We saw George Pickens and Jaden Hasselwood put on a show in the first game for Bo Nix. And now can Theo Wees, Austin Stogner, and that group keep it rolling for Team Overdrive as we come back with the championship at 1 o'clock.
I love it. All right. That's the champion, or that's the second semifinal. Overdrive wins, and a huge part, Joey, is the uniforms. Uniforms these young men wear, they get to rock are special. Let's take a look at some of the swag that the student athletes get to rock here at the opening.
My name is Kayvon Thibodeau from Oaks Christian, California, LA, baby. And you know me.
They all enjoy the camera, a little life, a little flavor, a little swag. Pretty impressive, Joey.
Oh, I mean, it's best in class. I mean, this whole, the opening with student sports, with Nike, with everything that these kids have gotten to go through, even down to the recovery. I mean, it's NFL-esque stuff. It's the best in class you can get. And really, it's a once-in-a-life opportunity that these kids will remember forever.
I love it. Well, once-in-a-life opportunities, of course, are for all 162 of these student athletes, and they all get to make their decisions about where they want to go in college, where they want to spend their careers, whether it be 3, 4, 5 years, where they want to get their degrees and continue following the passion, which is college football.